Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Gurok here, Casual Gamer Dad, coming at you guys with the first episode of our Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker Job Review PvP series. Not to be confused with the Job Review series that I have previously worked on, where we focused on how the jobs perform at maximum level and how they are in PvE. This is for PvP only, so they're going to be relatively quick videos, but basically the rundown is going to be just a general overview of the job, how it performs in PvP, and what my honest thoughts on it are, and probably give it a score, and then we will move on to just showing you their kit, general strategies that I have used to be relatively successful, and just how I feel they perform both in Frontlines and Crystalline Conflict, the two available PvP modes. So obviously today we are starting with my overall number one favorite job, the Warrior, because I mean, what else am I gonna start with, right? All right. And I gotta say, overall PvP performance of the Warrior, it is like they're like S tier. Okay, it doesn't matter what you do, they are S tier. They are 10 out of 10. They're fun to play, they're impactful, and they get the job done. They get the job done well. Okay, now I gotta set some boundaries here. You cannot expect to play a Warrior at any of the four tanks and be like rocking like 30 kills, no deaths. You are not unkillable, even though you are playing a tank. You are not a damage machine. You are not going to be getting all the killing blows all the time. But the Warrior, compared to the other three tanks, has probably the most well-rounded kit for doing damage enough, to apply pressure to the enemy, while at the same time providing enough control and survivability to themselves that they can get themselves out of hot water, as long as you know kind of what you're doing. Now, that being said, let's go over their kit. That's not the PvP profile. Sorry. So this is the Warrior's kit. Okay. Much different since the PvP revamp, and much better in my opinion. We're gonna start off. You have your basic combo, one button does all three, not all at the same time obviously, but you got your basic 1-2-3 combo. Your heavy swing, your maim, your storm's path. You can see heavy swing smacks a dude for 3,000, maim swacks another dude for 40,000, storm's path smacks somebody for 5,000, and absorbs 100% of the damage dealt as HP, so you get a little bit of a heal from doing it. Not really going to be your biggest thing you're going to focus on when you're fighting people. It's mostly going to just be filler, but it's there. It happens. Let's see. I don't really want to go in order because some of these skills are more like bread and butter, but let's go over some of these abilities here. So you got Onslaught. Similar to how it operates in PvE, it's a gap closer. You rush your target, you hit them, you do some damage. In PvP, it deals damage with a potency of 500, but the closer they are to max HP, the more damage it's going to do, up to a maximum of 5k. So you can do anywhere between 500 to 5k damage to your opponent with this. It does take 10% of our current HP when we use it. Very minor, drop in the bucket. And you can see that it has an additional effect that when we hit a target with this, it's going to increase the damage they take by 10% for 10 seconds. That's pretty good. It makes a very good opener, especially when you have a primary target marked and ready to go. In addition to that, we have Orogeny. Operates the same way it does in PvE. Instacast, 20-second cooldown. Delivers an attack with a potency of 1,000 to all nearby enemies. Of course, the higher they are, the closer they are to max HP, the more damage it's going to do, up to a maximum of 10k damage, which is pretty heavy. It does take 20% of our HP when we use it, so if you go Onslaught Orogeny back to back, you're taking 30% off our current HP. Not a big deal. Still kind of a drop in the bucket. But you'll see it also has an additional effect that all the targets that it hits will reduce the target's damage dealt by 10% for 10 seconds. So when you wombo combo these two, you're not only dealing damage, you're also making it so they take more damage while dealing less damage. That's some good stuff. You're also going to see we have access to Bloodwetting, what is the most broken tanking cooldown I have ever seen in my entire life. In PvE is not as potent in PvP. 20-second cooldown, insta-cast obviously grants Bloodwetting, Stem the Tide, Nascent Chaos. Bloodwetting converts 75% of damage dealt into HP for 10 seconds. Creates a barrier around yourself that absorbs damage, totaling 10% of your maximum HP for 10 seconds. And then grants Nascent Chaos, which allows us to use Chaotic Cyclone. It's not like the healing slash barrier isn't as potent as you would think in PvP, but it gets the job done. It gives us an opportunity to survive just a little bit longer, to get in and do some big damage and pop off this Chaotic Cyclone, which of course in PvP, AoE attack deals a potency of 8,000 all nearby enemies. And you can see there's an additional effect that if we are under the effect of Inner Release, the damage goes up by 2. It's doubled, so it goes from 8,000 to 16,000. That's a lot of damage. So basically you pop Bloodwetting, changes to Chaotic Cyclone, you pop Chaotic Cyclone, deal some damage, get your heal, you're good. We have Blota, which is essentially its home gang without the invulnerability. So this is probably one of the saddest things I've seen to the warrior change with the PvP revamp. Is we used to have home gang, so you could chain a target, pull them to you, smack them around a little bit, and like we couldn't be reduced beyond 1 HP. They kind of gave us Blota instead. It does have 15-yard range. It does only have a 15-second cooldown. It lasts for 5 seconds. It applies a 75% heavy to our target, and it instantaneously pulls them in. But we can still die. We don't get that invulnerability. Very minor, I guess. It's a very useful tool. It does come in handy, and it's really good for like chasing targets down. So I'm not going to complain too much. We do have access to Fell Cleave. I'll explain its use case, but as you can see, it delivers attack with a potency of 12,000, can only be executed while on the effect of Inner Release. I'll explain how that happens in a second here. But before we do that, bread and butter skill of warrior in PvP, Primal Rend. Okay, 15-second cooldown, delivers a jumping physical attack to a target and all enemies nearby with a potency of 8,000, Inner Release potency of 16,000. Additional effect, 2-second stun. So this is a gap closer, just like it is in PvE, AoE damage, heavy AoE damage, and inflicts a stun for 2 seconds to everything that it hits. Also, just like Onslaught being a good opener, this is also a very good opener, depending on the situation. I'll go over that in a second. Now, I've mentioned a few times various use cases of being under the effects of Inner Release, but you don't see Inner Release on here or anything that triggers Inner Release. That is tied specifically to Primal Scream. Primal Scream is our new limit break in PvP. It has a 10-second recast. It's got a 12-yard range. I want to say it's an okay limit break for what it does, but it's not the best. And the reason why I say that is because it doesn't CC our target. It doesn't do any damage. And I mean, let's face it, Primal Scream, we literally just get angry and yell at our target. We just go, ah. But you can read the description here. Lets out a blood-curdling cry and a cone before you, rendering enemies unable to use guard for 15 seconds. It grants us both Inner Release and Thrill of Battle. Inner Release increases the potency of Primal Rend and Chaotic Cyclone. It makes us immune to CC effects. It lasts for 15 seconds. It permanently puts us in a state of sprint no matter what. We cannot use guard while we are under the effect of Inner Release, which is fine. Thrill of Battle effect increases maximum HP by 20% and restores the amount increased, which lasts for 30 seconds. And of course, obviously, when we use Primal Scream and then we're under the effects of Inner Release, our main 1-2-3 combo then just changes to Fell Cleave. Now, this limit break, again, like I said, it's nice. the amount of effects that we get are amazing, absolutely amazing. I just wish it did something a little more. Like, it's nice that you break people's guard and you prevent them from using guard, but I would rather see us either like use it and stun everybody or use it and deal damage, because I think it would make it much more useful. But that's just me. That's just me. Now, a couple tips and tricks that I would say about Warrior is you have to understand, if you've looked at all of this, you'll realize that as a tank, aside from our general PvP abilities that we're given, which if you watched my PvP overview video, you will know what each of these does. I've gone over them before, so I won't go over them here. But if you use these, Smart, Recuperate, Standard Issue Elixir, and Guard for yourself, you can keep yourself alive pretty well alongside Bloodwetting. But that's it. That's all we got. Once our mana is used up or Bloodwetting's on cooldown, we don't really have anything. We don't have like Rampart. We don't have Home Gang. We don't have Vengeance. You know, we don't have any of our like cooldowns, right? So that's why, like, some tips and tricks as a warrior, one of the biggest things is be on the front lines, peel the enemy off of your damage dealers, but don't go in so hard and try to be the guy that's going to get the kills. You just want to get in, get their attention, CC them, and then kind of dip out so you can heal and just rinse and repeat. You want to hold the attention long enough for one of the enemy team members to go down, and then you can back off for a little bit and go in, and you know, you got to do the kind of like back and forth hit and run. It seems kind of weird to say that, but I found that's a strategy that works the best for me. In addition to that, we're going to show you some stuff here. You got to know the proper way to use skills, right? So when you do not have your limit break available, you can choose to use Onslaught or Primal Rend as an opener. I prefer to use Onslaught for the damage increase, so I'll charge in with Onslaught, right? Probably pop an Orogeny right after, so Onslaught, Orogeny, Primal Rend to lock them into place for a couple seconds, Bloodwetting, Chaotic Cyclone, and then it's kind of time to either like back off, or you can keep smacking them around with the 1-2-3 combo. Now, when your limit break is full, you use Primal Scream. This is when things change up a little bit more, because you're going to do so much damage with Primal Rend and Chaotic Cyclone. The idea is to probably open with Primal Rend so you can get that damage, pop Bloodwetting, Chaotic Cyclone, and then just keep spamming Fell Cleaves and keeping on the pressure with Onslaughts, right? Maybe hit an Orogeny here if you want. So just to demo what I'm talking about, right? Say this is a bad guy. Am I not? I don't know. So this is a bad guy, right? We're on the enemy. They're on the enemy team here. I'm gonna go after this guy. Nah, I'll do this one. It doesn't matter. All right. So we got an enemy. So we're gonna Onslaught, Orogeny. Boom, boom, boom. Lock him down with Primal Rend. Boom. Bloodwetting. Chaotic Cyclone. Pull him in with Blota. Give him the old 1-2-3. Maybe refresh Onslaught. And there you go. That's your basic combo, right? And then maybe do it again. Boom. Boom. Right? Wham. Your combo doesn't get broken if you pop Bloodwetting and Onslaught, so there you go. I mean, it's very similar to PvE. Obviously, it's not going to be exactly like this when you're messing around in actual PvP. But, yeah, so we got to kind of like hang out and just kind of smack the dummy until our limit break gauge is full. So we'll just spam the 1-2-3 combo until that happens. But basically, you definitely want to open up with Primal Rend because of the amount of damage, and I'll show you why in a minute. It seems like it doesn't charge. Now, when you're... One thing to mention is your limit gauge will charge automatically, both in Crystalline Conflict and Frontlines, all on its own. There we go. Alright, so we've got our limit break, okay? So now, here's the thing, right? Your limit breaks up. You're charging in for a group assault, right? Hit that thing. Rawr. Primal Rend. Boom. Bloodwetting. Boom. Onslaught. Orogeny. Fell Cleave. Look at all that damage. Right? And then by the time everything's up, it's off cooldown. So yeah, those are my tips and tricks. Those are my general thought processes on how I always ran Warrior. Obviously, you can probably refine it a little bit better. I'm sure there's, you know, other little tips and tricks and niches that much more pro warriors probably have up their sleeves, but that's pretty much how I've managed to do my grind, how I've managed to get to rank 30, and just how I play warrior in PvP. How does warrior perform in each individual PvP mode? In Crystalline Conflict, they are monsters, as you saw with the 2 gap closers, the stun on Primal Rend, the amount of damage they can dish out while under the effects of inner release, negating guard with their limit break, and just being able to pull people off the crystal with Blota is it just makes them absolute beasts in PvP for Crystalline Conflict. In Frontlines, oh, my limit gauge is charged. In Frontlines, it's not as cut and dry. They are still useful. You can get some good peel, but the problem is because Frontlines is such a Zerg fest all the time, it's really hard to actually properly peel for your team and get in there, get the attention, do some CC, get some damage in, and then get out. Usually most of the time you dive in, you're probably not getting out because it's going to be like 24 versus you, and that's just how it is. But you can, if you play it right and you play cautiously in Frontlines, you can get some good stuff. I would say in Crystalline Conflict, warriors are definitely 10 out of 10. In Frontlines, they're like an 8 out of 10 in Frontlines, just because like they're tank, they're melee. But with the tools that they have, I've come out with Battle High 5 more times than not on a warrior in Frontlines. So there you have it, guys. There's my PvP review on the warrior job. Keep a lookout for more videos. I've got a ton of them coming, since you don't need to be level 90 to get the maximum effect in PvP for any job. I will probably be reviewing just about all the jobs that I play. So it won't be limited to just the jobs that I've gotten to 90, but for now I'll probably focus on those jobs just because I've already reviewed them in PvE. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit the thumbs up button. If you want to see more from me and my channel, if you want to get notifications when I post up new videos or go live on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button. It really helps me out. And if you got any questions, comments, concerns, you got some tips and tricks for me or suggestions for me, leave them in the comment section down below, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks.